Welcome back, FD Squad. Whilst many people may criticise Arsene Wenger's managerial skills, few argue that Arsene is a bad person. But these 10 players actively dislike Le Professeur. Here we go. 10. Dennis Bergkamp. Whilst Dennis Bergkamp, who some argue is the Premier League's greatest ever player, may not have hated Wenger, it's clear that their perfect relationship portrayed in the press is something of a myth. Arsenal's then club record £7.5 million signing initially struggled in North London, failing to score in his first 6 matches. However, after Arsene's appointment in August 1996, Bergkamp thrived as Arsenal's creative fulcrum. What followed was remarkable: 7 trophies in 11 years, including 2 doubles, an unbeaten season, and the PFA Player of the Year award for 1998. Whilst Bergkamp's goal statistics for Arsenal, 87 in 315 appearances, aren't incredible, he also laid on 94 assists, the 5th best in Premier League history. Bergkamp, though, hated Wenger's rotation policy. He is quoted as saying, "Sometimes I hate my manager. Quite simply, Wenger believes in rotating players and I don't." It turns out the player despised being hooked 104 times in his career, the 6th most in Premier League history. But the fact that Bergkamp was able to continue playing at Arsenal until he was 37 and made 24 league appearances in his final campaign suggests that maybe Arsene knew best. 9. Gervinho. Some people on this list are Arsenal legends who serve the club with distinction. Gervinho is not one of those men. The 80-capped Ivorian arrived at London Colney on the back of helping Lille to a double in 2010-11. Playing alongside the likes of Rami, Kabay and Hazard, Gervinho scored 18 goals in 50 appearances to help the Great Danes to a first title in 56 years. He was signed in the summer of 2011 during Arsenal's then record summer spending spree of £58 million, alongside the Ox, Arteta and Mertesacker amongst others. His Premier League career arguably peaked on his debut though, as he fulfilled the childhood dream of every football fan: getting sent off for slapping Joey Barton. The Fourhead's Arsenal career makes grim reading: 9 Premier League goals across 2 seasons before departing for Roma. 6 months later he said, "I hate Wenger for the way he treated me. I regret leaving the club without being able to show my worth, which I am now doing at Roma." Roma, though, clearly disagreed, offloading Gervinho to Hebei China Fortune 3 years later, where he scored a very average 4 goals in 22 appearances. 8. Cesc Fàbregas. Fàbregas was brought to Arsenal as a 16-year-old in 2003 and became their youngest ever player. He won an FA Cup with the Gunners in 2005 and finished as a runner-up in the Champions League final the following year. He has labelled Wenger, who made him his captain between 2008 and 2011, as the most important coach of his career, and like a second father. Most Arsenal fans, though, could understand when Fàbregas returned to his childhood club Barcelona in August 2011. Arsenal had been trophyless for 6 years, Barcelona had just won 3 Champions Leagues in 5 years, and his ties with the Blaugrana ran deep. What Arsenal fans and Arsene couldn't fathom is why, after 5 trophies in 3 years, he decided to go to their London rivals Chelsea. Yes, Arsenal may have turned down first option on the deal, but to join Wenger's nemesis Mourinho, who Arsenal has beaten just twice in 18 appearances, is not something you do to your father figure. 7. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The list of people that the self-proclaimed lion hates includes the likes of Van der Vaart, Messi and Guardiola, but we can also add Arsene Wenger to the list. Zlatan's 13 goals in 32 appearances as a 19-year-old for Malmo was enough to convince Wenger to look into the possibility of signing the 6'5" frontman in 2000. The 116-capped Swede has since claimed Arsene gave him an Arsenal jersey with number 9 Ibrahimovic on the back. But rather than try and convince the youngster to sign there and then, he invited Zlatan for a trial. He then uttered the immortal reply, "Zlatan doesn't do auditions." He may have had his dream move ruined, but things haven't turned out too badly for him since. He scored 319 goals and picked up 23 major trophies, playing for clubs including AC Milan, Juventus, Barcelona and Man United amongst others. Wenger may feel he lost out in the long term, but he decided to sign the very able Sylvain Wiltord for £13 million instead, and the Gunners went on to win 5 major trophies in the next 5 years. 6. Emmanuel Frimpong. Plenty of former players may criticise Wenger in the media, but we doubt Arsene, who has served his club for 21 years and over 1,200 games, takes much notice of what Frimpong, who only ever played 6 senior games for Arsenal, thinks. Frimpong joined the Arsenal Academy aged 9 and after winning 2 consecutive youth team doubles in 2009 and 2010, was included in the senior squad for the following campaign. His first 12 months in senior football were eventful. He was sent off in his first Premier League game against Liverpool, fought with ex-teammate Nasri in the tunnel after a League Cup quarter-final, and ruptured his ACL. He has subsequently laid into Wenger on Twitter about his team selections, and even the signing of Alexis Sanchez over a defensive midfielder in 2014. While Sanchez has scored and assisted 85 goals in just 122 league games, Frimpong's career has gone to He has never made more than 25 appearances for his 9 professional clubs and currently plays in Cyprus. The fact he is Lethal Bizzle's cousin remains the most interesting fact about the washed-up 25-year-old. 5. Ryan Shawcross. Arsenal's annual fixtures against Stoke are some of the most hotly contested games in English football. It all started in November 2008 on Arsenal's first visit to the Britannia, when they lost 2-1 and had Adebayor, Walcott and Sagna injured. Then in February 2010, 19-year-old Aaron Ramsey suffered a horrific double leg break in a challenge with Ryan Shawcross. Afterwards, Stoke boss Tony Pulis defended Shawcross, saying he has no bad blood in him whatsoever. Wenger replied, "Spare me how nice he is. That is not football for me and I refuse to live with it." Ramsey initially refused to accept the centre-back's apology, and since that fateful day, Stoke fans have taunted Ramsey with chants of, "He walks with a limp." In August that year, Wenger argued Shawcross's challenge on Spurs' Aurelio Gomez was like rugby on goalkeepers. Shawcross replied that he thought Wenger had a personal vendetta against him and that it was just weird. 4. Robert Pires. In 2000, Wenger looked at 27-year-old Robert Pires, who had already made 220 senior appearances and was a World Cup winner, to fill the void left by the departure of Marc Overmars. 2 days after setting up David Trezeguet for the golden goal against Italy in the Euro 2000 final, he joined teammates Vieira, Henry, Anelka and Petit at Arsenal. Pires initially struggled, but then his form took off in 2001-2. Scoring 9 and assisting 15 despite missing the final 2 months of the season with a cruciate ligament injury. Overall, Pires made 198 league appearances, scoring 62 goals and assisting 41. That means that Pires was involved in a goal every 0.5 games. That's better than Gerrard and Giggs' 0.4 and the same as Frank Lampard's 0.5. However, the 2-time Premier League winner, who was voted the club's 6th greatest player of all time in 2008, was left heartbroken by how it ended in North London. Substituted just 18 minutes into the 2006 Champions League final, Pires recalled, "It was my last game after 6 years at the club, and a final in front of all my family in Paris. That's one bitter pill to swallow." 3. Roy Keane. For the first 8 years of Wenger's tenure, Man United and Arsenal were the only teams to be crowned English champions, with United winning 5 titles to the Gunners' 3. Keane was the beating heart of United's side, and his on-pitch duels with Patrick Vieira defined an era. That rivalry continues today, with Vieira claiming in March 2017 that Keane was "always seeing the back of my shirt." Since hanging up his boots, Keane flopped in management and now assists Martin O'Neill with Ireland and makes the occasional punditry appearance. On TV, he has called Arsenal players shameful, soft, weak, and accused them of giving up. After Arsenal were beaten 3-2 by Olympiacos in October 2015, Keane was particularly scathing, claiming the side lacked characters, leaders, and winners. Wenger has been facing criticism from Arsenal players for years, including his own. But for Keane to repeatedly drag Arsenal's players that Wenger has handpicked, nurtured and coached into the firing line repeatedly, must be incredibly frustrating for the manager. 2. Paul Merson. Before Paul Merson became an absolute joke of a pundit, famous for making comments such as, "When defenders get ran at, they're not as great as what they are," he was actually a very good player. He played for his boyhood club Arsenal between 1985 and 1997, winning 5 major trophies, including their last continental trophy, the 1994 European Cup Winners' Cup. The attacking midfielder was named PFA Young Player of the Year in 1989 and scored an average of a goal every 0.23 games, better than Ozil's 0.2. He managed all this whilst remarkably battling with alcohol, cocaine and gambling addictions. A year after Wenger took over, Merson was offloaded as he tried to change the culture around the club, moving to Middlesbrough for £4.5 million, a record for a club outside the top flight. Merson, though, had plenty of football left in him. He was only 29 and went on to make a further 267 senior appearances. Perhaps this is why he has subsequently said that Harry Redknapp is the superior tactician, and that Wenger has an arrogance about him that is not nice. 1. Emmanuel Adebayor. Adebayor simply had to be included on this list. The Togolese international, who has scored 31 goals and 80 caps for his country, was at Arsenal between 2006 and 2009. And despite scoring at a rate of 0.4 goals a game, a better rate than Giroud, his 3-year spell was trophyless. The highlight, though, was undoubtedly the 2007-8 season, when he netted 24 goals in 36 league games. He also came second in the Goal of the Season award with an effort versus Spurs, was named in the PFA Team of the Season, and was named BBC African Footballer of the Year. Having turned down rumoured moves to Milan and Barcelona the season before, Adebayor joined City for £25 million in summer 2009. He made a dream start, becoming just the 6th player to score in his first 4 games for a new club. Next up was Arsenal, and not only did his side run out 4-2 winners, Adebayor was accused of kicking former strike partner Van Persie in the head, slapping Song and stamping on Fàbregas. To top it off, Adebayor ran the full length of the pitch after scoring his goal to celebrate in front of the Arsenal faithful. What a way to stick 2 fingers up to the club and manager that had given you your chance in England.
Congratulations, you've got to the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you're looking for more cracking videos, why don't you click in this box right here? And as always, people, don't forget to like and subscribe.